to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting here today on the land for which the original custodians and landowners are the Wathaurong people. I would like to pay my respects to their ancestors, past, present and future, and acknowledge that their sovereignty was never ceded. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. My name is Sarah Hathway, and I'm a member of the youth wing of Socialist Alliance, and I'm the Socialist Alliance candidate for Geelong in the upcoming state elections. I'm a 24-year-old Gordon TAFE student currently living off youth allowance, and for that reason my candidacy may not be taken seriously by the media. But it is for that exact reason I am running in the state elections. Young people do not have a voice in this country, or in our state, or in this community. We're one of the first groups to be targeted so that our government can balance the budget, and one of the worst groups affected by cuts to welfare, education, health, housing, and the list goes on. Until finally, as things get more and more unbearable for young people to a point where we can't take it anymore, we get angry and we protest. And then we're labelled as thugs and troublemakers, and we're told to sit down, shut up and let the adults run the country. The fact is, I know 10-year-olds who have a better sense of social justice than our current state and federal governments. And they're here today. Locking up women and children, refusing them basic health care and slowly destroying their mental state to the point where they want to go home is abhorrent. The death of refugees who are under our protection, like Reza Barati, who was killed on Manus Island, is a disgrace. Shame. I was born in 1990, and I don't remember a time where boat people weren't talked about on the 6 o'clock news. Since I became an adult and started to pay more attention to these things, it seems every morning I wake up, look at the news, and my first thought is, what is the latest horrendous act our government has committed against refugees and asylum seekers? Is this the attitude we want to instill in the next generation? That the hatred of other cultures is okay, and that it's acceptable to dehumanise refugees and asylum seekers? Or do we want to tell our children that what our government is doing is illegal according to international law, is morally wrong, and is a way to distract us from what the government is doing to us? I say shame on Abbott and Morrison for letting this country sink to the point it has in its treatment of asylum seekers and refugees. It is easier for our government to whip up fear about boats arriving with refugees than it is to address the appalling budget cuts they are raining down on workers, students and the unemployed. This is why you're more likely to hear about boat people on the 6 o'clock news than the federal government's plan to deregulate university fees, cut course funding by an average of 20% and increase the interest charged on student loans. This attack on universities will make it impossible for young people from low socioeconomic backgrounds to attend university, and will now put student debt on par with a small mortgage loan. The ongoing attacks on the TAFE sector by successive state governments have resulted in student fees rapidly increasing since 2008, with most fees more than tripling since then, especially for diploma and advanced diploma courses. Student fees for apprentices have increased, often by more than 60%. Over 2,500 qualified, passionate TAFE teachers like Roseanne have lost their jobs. But meanwhile, the state government is claiming a record investment in training and education. Shame. Or the fact that the housing crisis has now reached a point in Victoria where as of April this year, the equivalent to the population of Bendigo, which is 105,000 people, were under stress due to lack of affordable housing. Meanwhile, the state government is disposing of public housing rather than increasing it to fix the crisis. Or the fact that youth employment has leapt to a 15-year high in Victoria, with southwest Geelong being identified as one of the most difficult areas to find work for 15 to 24-year-olds in the state. The average youth unemployment rate in the state was 13.8% as of July this year. And in Geelong, that was 18% as of July this year. And meanwhile, the federal government is telling young people to earn or learn. So study or work, or face being cut off from New Start benefits for 6 months at a time. But what if you can't afford to study? Or what if you're a young person in Geelong where there are no jobs? And it's not just young people, everyone is suffering, including all the workers who have recently been made redundant due to Alcoa closing its doors, or the workers who will lose their jobs come 2016 when Ford leaves Geelong. The state government seems to think it can replace these jobs with an increase in dirty, polluting coal mining or fracking for unconventional gas in our community. Yes, we need jobs, but not at the cost of polluting the air, the water, and destroying our environment. I'm sure if you live in Highton, you wouldn't want some mining company owned by Gina Reinhardt fracking for gas right underneath your house. And that's what they're proposing to do in Geelong. The cuts to education, welfare, and lack of affordable housing affect all of us. And as a community, we need to stand up and be counted and say no more cuts to services, no more cuts to health and education. This is why my campaign is based on 3 clear demands: reverse the TAFE cuts, create sustainable jobs plan for Geelong, and build public housing. But all of us need to do more than just vote come November 29th. We need to fight for the community that we want to live in, whether it's in your unions or in the Combined Refugee Action Group or in the Frack Free Geelong group. There are stalls from all the different campaigns here today, and I would encourage all of you here to get involved in the campaigns that mean the most to you. All of us need to get active and say that we're not on Tony Abbott's Team Australia, we're on the team for social justice and human rights. Thank you.